Hi everyone, it's Tammy, and we're back today to do the hashtag Moss and the Scratic Challenge. We are on day 15. This is the Scrap Busting Ephemera Challenge hosted by Release the Crafting. Priscilla has come up with 31 prompts for us to use this month to make ephemera for our stash or for a journal. And today's prompt is snippet. And snippets or snippet roll is one of my favorite things to make. And it is indeed a wonderful thing to do to get rid of all those little itsy bitsy pieces of paper that you have in your little scrap boxes. So we're going to get started, and I'll start by showing you a couple that I have, and then we will make one to use for this particular journal that I'm working on for all these prompts, with my thought being when I get to the end of the month, I'll have enough ephemera to put together in a journal. So, here are a couple of snippet rolls that I have made. I like to store mine on these antique spools that you can get at antique stores. Sometimes you can find them at estate sales. And I just think they look really cool. They're a good storage. Good piece to put these on for storage. If I can spit out what I'm trying to say. And they look great sitting around when you're not using them. You can use several things to store these on. I've seen people use sticks, like interesting sticks that they picked up. I know Barbara at 49 Dragonflies has done a couple that she has wrapped around sticks. That looks really cool. You can put them in jars, like an apothecary jar, and that would be really cool. Or if you had a tin or a box, or, you know, whatever you have to store these in. This one is just kind of a vintage one that I did, and it has a tag on the end that holds the, closes to snip it up. But let me turn it around this way so you can see it. It just has a lot of different things just glued on it. This one has a fabric base to it, and I stitched it. So you can use fabric or paper as your base. And then if you ever go to use it, which I can't bring myself to use this one, you would just tear it or cut it off, you know, at different spots to put in your journal. Like, you know, if you did just that part, that would be really cool. But yeah, you can just, you know, do it however you want. But it all starts with scraps, and that is the scrap busting part of it, and that is what we're going to focus on today. So that one is just pretty much general. Apparently, I don't know how to wrap this around now. Let me tie it back up here. And then the other one that I have is the Christmas one, which I also can't bring myself to use. Oops. And again, it's on a spool, and I decorated the end of it because this particular spool, it actually is not vintage. It is a spool that some ribbon came on from Marshall's. So look around Christmas time and you will see Christmas ribbon on these wooden spools. And if you find them and you can use the Christmas ribbon, I would encourage you to buy it. And then you have this cool little spool when you're done. But you can see this one is all Christmas. So, and this one has the paperback that was calculator ribbon, which is what I'm going to do today, is the calculator ribbon. Again, if I can wrap this up here, I keep going the wrong way with the wrong one. There we go. And then it's just tied in a bow to hold it on there. Okay, so there's that one. We'll move it out of the way. So I have this spool, which is a little bit wider than my calculator roll, but I think it'll work just fine. And also, these are not very big. You want to look for ones that have the bigger ends because you can wrap more around it. But I think for this particular journal, and because I am really going to be using it, this one is going to work fine. So once I get it all done, I will put it on this spool and wrap it up so that I can easily store it or have it sitting on my desk to tear apart as we work in the journal. I'm going to unroll my little paper roll here, and I found this at a craft store, so it already had a thrift store, pardon me, so it already has like a nice patina to it. So this is going to be my background, or my, to make my continuous strip. Now, how do you use these in a journal? Well, if this was my journal, I could tear it off at any point. Like I could make it go the full page length if I wanted to. So that I would tear it off, this long, and it'd be on a page edge. You could use it for a belly band in the center, or you can tear off smaller pieces, like say this long, and you'd have a cluster, basically, that you could use on a page. You could also tear it off and put it on a tag and have a great tag already made. So, we're going to start off. I'm going to put this here, and hopefully we'll be able to unroll it without it rolling completely off my desk. And we're just going to start laying down some paper. Now I've got several little stacks of things over here. I've got some labels, a moss, some stamps, some little paper keys, some flowers, some long tags, some little bitty bits and pieces, some photographs, and just some miscellaneous things. And I've also got my little tin of fabric snippets, fabric and lace, because you can use that as well. But we're going to start off with a paper layer. So for the paper, I've got, and I'll show you my big box, but then I'll move it off to the side. I think I have a few pieces of paper that we can use. And this is our goal, is to use things out of this box and get rid of it. I collect this stuff for so long, and then I get over it, and I end up dumping it and starting over, because I'm not ever going to use everything that's in this box. So, anyway, that's what we're going to work with. So, I'm going to set that over to the side so I can kind of fumble through it. And we're going to get started, and I'm going to use a glue stick for this. And probably what I will do, maybe not, depending on how I feel, I may, once we get done, take my sewing machine and just sew right up the middle of it. And that will secure down anything that, you know, didn't get good and secured by the glue. But I think we'll be alright. So, let's just start laying some stuff down. This isn't going to be a terribly exciting video, but I just wanted to share with you how I do my snippets and what I include, and then you guys can go from there. Like I said, it's not anything difficult. Anybody can do it, and it's probably one of the easiest things to make as far as junk journaling goes. And you just continue, and I don't mind going over the edges because I like for it not to be even, and if I decide I want for it to be even, then I can go back and cut it. This is tea bag, and it is a non-used tea bag that I got a pack of. It's like natural tea bags that you can fill on your own. And I think I got these off Amazon, but they're great if you're not a tea drinker and you don't have tea bags sitting around. You can just get some of those and use them, or use them for your crafts, and they already have a nice color to them. I don't worry about inking any of this. I just kind of grab things with different textures, different colors. I do try to stay semi-neutral with these, but, you know, that's up to you too. If you're doing a journal that's a particular color, you can, for sure, do whatever color you're working with in your journal. Try to keep it as flat as you can for the bottom layer, because remember, it is going to have to go in your journal. One, you are going to have to, if you're going to do it on the spool, you're going to have to roll it up. So you want it to be something that you can roll. And like I said, you just kind of take interesting looking things and glue them on here however you would like. For the bottom layer, I find it's sometimes easier just to put your glue down and then just stick things on top. However you prefer to work. There's no really right or wrong way to do this. Digging through. Some of these little pieces of paper that we keep, I don't know about you guys, but I look at them and I'm like, why did I keep that? But I guess it all has its purpose in the end. This is a piece of bookbinding off a spine of a book. We'll put that right there. Maybe it wants to roll up. May need something stronger than a glue stick. Try to be random with this, and I say try to be random because I am the worst at being random. In other words, if you want to, you can put things upside down, you can put things sideways, you can put things however you want to. Sometimes it's hard for me to do upside down, but I'm trying to be better about that. Here's some German text. I also try to not do everything in triangles, which doesn't always work well for me. Or triangles, rectangles. I got triangles on the mind after yesterday. Here's some Tim Holtz tissue paper. And again, this layer doesn't matter a whole lot because it's just your starting layer. You just want to cover up the calculator roll. What else we got in here? Some graph paper. You can also use rubber stamps and stamp on this if you want to. That adds nice character. You can also splatter if you want to splatter on here. Whatever. Like I said, there's no really right or wrong. Just make sure you're pretty secure so that when you do go to tear it apart or cut it apart, then it makes it a little easier if it stays together. I'm trying to go through this box without knocking everything everywhere. It's a piece with some gold embossing on it. We'll move these little things over a little bit so I'm not dragging my arm and dragging them in the floor. You can use pieces of digital, which is what this is. And I really should have my glue book sitting here instead of putting glue on my mat. Foreign language books are good, like I said. Let me put my pen in my art glitter glue real quick. Shuffle, shuffle. Here's a piece of map. Let's see if we can find a piece that's kind of neutral. It's going to have a little bit of color in it, but that's okay. Pattern paper is good for this. Here's some piano paper. That'll give something interesting. Oops. Anything that can add to texture. And make it look interesting. We'll go a little bit further and then I'll go back and show you second layer wise. Let me get this. Part of the problem is that box, when it's sitting on my desk, it's so high I can't see down in it. Someone set it kind of in my lap. Pull some pieces out. It might make it a little easier. That one will have to be inked up. Do some more music paper. It's kind of a grungy digital. There's some more map. Some ledger paper. Interesting piece. There's some inside of a vintage envelope. There's some old children's writing paper. Plain tissue paper. Part of an old receipt. What else? What else? was part of an old receipt. Part of a dictionary. I think that one's French. Some crumbly composition book. Handwriting. Okay, that should be enough. So I'm going to put this box back over out of the way and we'll work with that. Okay. See how much of this I can get down fairly quickly. It's freezing here today again. I think it's about 22. We're going to have several really, really cold days. Most of this week, or next week, actually. Not looking forward to it. Try to keep it where you do not have too many like straight lines. In my opinion, I like it better when the seams are not so straight. She's a piece of this envelope. I think it's really cool. This was from an envelope from the 40s. I know that because I bought a whole stack of them at a German letters at a flea market in Germany, and they all had this on the inside of the envelopes. Let's see if we can ink this up and put this on there. This is where I was testing my sewing machine to see if it was going to sew okay through the paper that I had. And for some reason, my paper that I had torn off doing it got full. So I saved it. Just because I thought it was interesting. But I think it'll be interesting on here as well. So we're going to stick it on there. Okay, I feel like I need something else a little bit of color, because I started off with that kind of green piece down at the bottom. Not that this down here would be in the same thing as this up here, but okay, I think I'm about to the end as far as I'm going to go in this video. Because if I get it much longer, you're not going to be able to see what's going on. Do one more piece and kind of get to an end. We'll do a little piece of this coffee dyed or tea dyed. I think it's tea dyed. I don't really deal with the coffee dyed too much. Put it on the side that you actually put the glue on would be good. Okay, I'm going to back this up. And I'm going to put a piece right here because that's bothering me. What do I want to put? This right here will be perfect. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. Normally I would just keep going until I felt like that my spool was going to be completely full, but since we're going to use this one for this journal, I think I'm going to cut it off right here, and we're going to go to the next layer. And I am going to, in this particular case, cut all my edges off. Let me put the top of my pen and my glue, top on my ink, top on this glue, and then get up my little pieces of scrap that I have left, just so they're not in the way. Because that is all I'm doing for the paper scraps. Okay, next layer, let me trim this first though. So I'm just going to go down the side, and like I said, you can let this overhang too, if you want to. Come on. Work with me, not against me. Yeah, I could do this for hours. If you don't know what you're going to do, in the craft room and you want to accomplish something, like if you're having a block on what you're working on, or you don't have much time to craft, but you want to do something, this is an excellent thing to do. You can just keep on going if you want and come back and work on it whenever you feel like it, or you can do it in separate pieces. Another thing you could do for storage is you could take out a coat hanger and you could do it in pieces that were this long and then clip them on a coat hanger with a paper clip or a bulldog clip or something like that. That would look cool. I've got a couple of vintage wooden coat hangers that are from hotels back in the day when they advertised on their coat hangers. That would look really cool. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is our next layer, which is going to be our little embellishments or our focal points or whatever you want to call them. So you can just, you know, randomly go up through here. You can lay it out and then go back and glue it. I have a tendency to just pick up stuff and stick it on there randomly. And I start with the biggest pieces and then work around. So in this case, I want to be sure and spread out my moss and spread out my photos, since the moss are, you know, part of the make. I want to make sure and kind of distribute them evenly throughout, as well as with the photographs. So that's what I'm going to do now, and I'm just going to go randomly and place them however far apart you want to place them. Just keep in mind that at some point you're probably going to tear this apart, so you want it to be far enough apart that you can make a tear. But you also want them close enough together to where if you want more than one on a snippet, then you would want it to be, you know, close enough together to that you could include two and it be on the page, if that makes sense. The photos I'm using, the square ones are from Louisa Heinzel on Etsy, and the kind of more rectangular ones are from Barbara at 49 Dragonflies. This one's also a Barbara one, and I'm kind of alternating. I picked like couples from the Louisa kit, just to kind of represent relatives and people that have been in the house, in my particular attic. Family members, that kind of thing. Sisters. I think these two look like sisters. This looks like, you know, somebody's grandmother. Alright, so there's all my peoples. Now I'm going to go back and put in my moss. And again, I want to be sure and place them so that if I'm cutting them apart, it makes sense. They're not going to get chopped in a weird area. They don't have to be whole, but I don't want them, you know, to get cut where it's a weird place. Actually, I'm going to hold up on the moss. I'm going to put my little labels and stuff like that first, and then put the moss as the top layer. I think that makes more sense. And again, I have some Tim Holtz apothecary labels, or whatever he calls these. So I'm just going to randomly put some of those on. You notice I've switched over to my art glitter glue now. I just think that works better for this next layer and for all the rest of the layers, actually. And again, wherever you want to do these is up to you. But don't overthink it. Just stick them down. I like the surprise of when you're not really thinking about it and you're just sticking stuff down of what it looks like when you get done. I think that's really kind of a cool effect. Okay, now let's do some of these long ones. I know that you can't see all this. It's kind of hard to see everything when you're doing something this long. Okay, let's do a couple more of those. Alright, so we got those. Now, I've got some of these bigger ones. And don't worry about covering up something you've already done, because that's kind of the point of doing a collage. And creating the layers, you're not going to see everything that you've done underneath, and that's okay. I'm trying to move this up and down as I'm working. I stuck it to my desk. I'm going to cover that up for the time being. Okay, what else do I have? I have some, like, clocks and watches that I think will look kind of cool. I don't have a lot of those, so I want to kind of spread those out. Okay. We want to put some of these keys on here. These keys are by Crafty Cat. She does not have them in stock. I'm sure you can message her and she would cut some out for you. They're an excellent substitute for the metal ones because they are so flat. And she has them in kind of these rusty colors. And she also will do them in black. Excuse me. And they come in all different shapes as well. Okay. So let's trim again so we can see what we're looking at. Okay, so now let's do our moss And I did not pre-ink these ahead of time, so I will have to ink them as we go. Excuse me. Get over there, you little booger. He was trying to fly away. And again, I'm just putting these where I think it makes sense. Whatever your focal point is for doing, when you're doing this. The placement is really up to you. And what you think looks good and correct in your mind, in your eye, is what you should go with, because it's your project, it's your creativity, and everybody is different. That's why I always try to say, when I'm trying to show you what I am doing, is this is the way I do it. It doesn't mean that you have to do it the way that I do it, because I, by far, am not an expert or the creator or any of those things. I'm just doing what works for me, and what works for you may be totally a different thing. I think we need one down here at the bottom. Didn't want to cover up that number 1. Let's put it this way. Alright, how's our spacing? I might want one near her. Do I have a little one? Yes. I'm just kind of going through and seeing how I think I would cut it up. You know, if I was to cut it apart. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that, I think. Let's cut this little guy off here, so we can keep our edges. Alright, so we've used our photos, we've used our moss, we used our labels. here. I've got some postage stamps. We used our keys. We used these labels. Do I want some postage stamps? Where do I want it? Where do I want it? Maybe up at the top. And I'm just going to wrap that around. I think I have some little faux ones that were Tim Holtz. Maybe we'll put that one by Grandma there. Okay, glue down the edge. That one edge doesn't want to glue down. Okay, so this is where we're at now. So that's going to leave us with, first of all, inking around the whole edge. Now I could wait and do that until I cut them apart, but I want to kind of give you the finished look, so we'll do it real quick. Oops, that didn't stick down to the back, did it? And then the last thing we want to do is go in with little pieces of fabric or lace and kind of give us a little bit of dimension. Now, you don't have to do this. It's personal preference. You could be done just like this if you wanted a nice flat snippet, and it would be just fine. I do have some florals. But I don't know that they're needed. I don't think I'll use those. Okay, so let me look through this. Let's see what I have. Just some random little pieces of fabric. We'll use Fabri-Tac in this case, even though it's a glue I love to hate. And this just gives it another little textural piece to the whole thing. It's not necessary at all. Oh, that one did not want to rip. Come on, glue. Cooperate with me. It heard me say that I hated it. So it's going to give me a hard time. That's okay. That's why you don't get used. Unless absolutely necessary. That's why you get ignored. If you're wondering, that would be why. Oh, here's a piece of string that could be interesting somewhere. Just because. Isn't that the best reason in the world when you're crafting? Just because I want to. Or because I can. Oh, I just thought of something else I could use. Let's bring in some doilies. That color. see if I can poke out some of these little holes. These are made out of a thicker paper. They're not actually like a cake doily. Definitely needs to be inked. I should have went with a darker color, but I was wanting a little bit of pop of light. Now I've got those little things all over my snippet. Cut. That string doesn't want to cut. There we go. Okay. And I think we may be about done, except for I think I'm gonna put some, oh, this glue. I think I'm gonna put some buttons on here. That's just some random strings. Put that in my scraps because I needed more. Okay, oops, sorry about that. All right, let's pull out this little thing of buttons. Oh, I'm going to need one more, I think. Okay, and the only other thing I want to do is add some stamping with a couple of stamps. And the first one I want to do is the kind of splatter stamp. I'm not going to worry about it being too visible. I just want something to kind of blend everything together. Okay, and then I really like these little floral stamps by Tim Holtz. And I don't know if I can find a place to put a couple, but if I can, I would like to utilize it. And I have no idea how long I've been doing this. Oh, goodness. Okay, this has to be the last thing. I told you guys I could do this forever. Wasn't joking. So I'm using my potting soil archival ink to do this. And let's see. I think I can put one right here. And maybe a partial there. And maybe one here. Let's put one down here at the bottom. Maybe on that doily. There, I think we're good. I think we're good. Okay, so let me show you guys up close and then I'll let you go because this has already gone over what my plans were. And I apologize for that. Just fast forward through the first part where I'm gluing all the paper down and watch the rest where it gets interesting. Okay, so I'm going to bring this up so you can see it with more detail. So there you go. There's our snippet, and I will let this lay flat until it dries, And then once everything dries, I'll roll it up and put it on my on my spool for storage. So that's it for today. Again, check out Priscilla's channel at Release the Crafting and see what she's up to. And I know Belle at Bellaboo Creations is also doing this challenge. So, and if you want to see what everybody else is making, you can search the hashtag Moss and the Scraddock on Instagram or Facebook. And Priscilla has a playlist on her channel that has all the videos of the people who are participating. So thanks for being here. I'll be back tomorrow where the prompt is swatch, and we'll see what we come up with that. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Bye.